Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lili Nishma Simmy Schaer live from Choderim, Chicago. We have very, very chashuv guests. Almost everybody's a guest here. We have a Simmy Mendelbaum. What's your name again? Mendel Kaplan from Benzenhurst. And you are originally from Australia. What's your name?
Eli Australia.
Eli Australia. That's easier than your real last name. Wow. That's okay. Shkoyach for coming. So tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, tomorrow is Tuesday. Tomorrow, same time, 8:30 here. Be'ezer Hashem will have a screen up, I hope. And then Wednesday, I still have to see because we have a flight to catch later on at night. So, Bezrat Hashem. Reminder, Hayoim Tisha Yomim Sheheim Shavua Chad Shnei Yomim Ba'imer La'imer. There's 26 people right now on Zoom. It's going to start climbing Be'ezer Hashem. There's 28 people on Zoom, 26 people on YouTube. There's 28 now on YouTube. Okay. That's in Hebrew. My friend got me into the daf and I love it. Says Kalman Milstein. So I received 3 letters today from about 11-year-olds. 3. I put 2 of them in, maybe 1 tomorrow. Shapsi Cohen sent us 11-year-old Benny Kornfein from Zurich. You hear this? From Switzerland, an 11-year-old. And then we have, hi, my name is Yisroel Cherns. I live in Hollywood, Florida, and I'm 11 years old. It's funny, I don't know, like they come in bunches. There's another one from 11-year-old today. I started learning because my father was doing Sanhedrin. I want to thank you because now I'm learning a lot more. I'm really enjoying your shiurim. My grandfather's in the hospital and I'm hoping you can wish him a Refuah Shelamah. His name is Shlomi Yitzchak ben Esther. Thank you as Ariel. Refuah Shelamah. Rebelli, it's Motzi Shabbos, Motzi Yantiv. And I just completed Makkos Daf Yud Beis with you, keeping me completely up to date. Says Dr. Meir Wickler, you know who he is, like he writes in one of those magazines. Which one? Mishpacha? I don't remember. So, and I must be Makar Toiv, you and the entire MDY team for enabling me to do so. Cannot even imagine how much mysterious nefesh was required of all of you to prepare, record, edit, and upload so many shurim in advance to make this possible. You devoted talents in Soita, Dr. Meir Wickler. So, I don't know if the Olam heard about this, but last night I gave a shir in English right after Yantiv. Not right after, probably an hour and a half, close to 2 hours after Yantiv. And after shir, there was like some technical difficulty with the computer, so Mark recommended that I restart the computer. I restarted and I couldn't get back into it. Nothing. It's like it didn't accept my password. So we started working on it, then I called up Gary Bekitzer. I got Yosef Feinstone. He's very good with computers. Got him out of bed at about 1 something in the morning. He worked on it for an hour. 2:15, he's done. 2:15. So I told Mark, let's go. Okay, let's call it a day. Now I'm still in the hotel. He's like, no. It's better if we get it out of the way now. We do it, the Hebrew, and then tomorrow you might have to do 3 shiurim tomorrow. Fine. They have to understand it's 3:15 in New York. 3:15 a.m. And because of people like Mark Ashkenazi, the shir moves. So basically I don't know what, 20, we're done. I went home, I had to drive home, pack a shtickle, go home. You get home at 4 something, 5 o'clock. Then the phone rings early in the morning. My chavrisa, no, where are you? How come you're not calling? Let's go, let's learn. But the people behind the scenes, it's unbelievable. The type of people that we have, the mesirus nefesh, that the shir should get out from all the editors, and especially when I'm on the road, it's very difficult for everybody. It's different hours and different things. So yishkoyach to everybody, Ariel, Shimi, Kobe, the editors, Yoshi, who works crazy hours to get the art out and accommodate the Hebrew and the English and this, and Mark Ashkenazi, of course, Avremi Cohen, Gary Ben Moshe, all the chevra. Yishkoyach. This guy writes in Hebrew that he's not happy with the fact that I showed a very bloody video yesterday of the Masai Mara guys, the Masai. They drink blood, and it's a deraisa. He says he doesn't like blood. Imamish, he couldn't watch the shir anymore. So you have to put like a little disclaimer. Eliyahu Bubli. All right. Rabbi said himself sponsored by anonymous Hatzlacha bruchnius Yisroel Cherns in honor of my chavrisa Shmueli Unger, Szlafrok Family, in memory of their uncle Simmy Schaer, Simcha Yisrael ben Naftali Tzvi A. Anonymous, may our learning bring us closer to one another and to Hashem. I have a gewaldige maisa I want to tell you about this, bringing us closer to one another. Monthly sponsors Hatzlacha B'Parnasa. Yoni Klestzick, Refuah Shelamah, Yehudit's Brayna bas Rivka. Oh, I just noticed that the editors, they listened to me. In middle shir, I said maybe we should break up the Hatzlacha B'Parnasa and the next one, Parnasa Birevach, because it sounds almost like one long line. One sponsor for the whole month, just put 2 words in, Hatzlacha B'Parnasa. The third sponsor, Parnasa Birevach, I'll show it to you. Parnasa Birevach, Baruch Nissim, ben Shoshana Leah, is another one. So now it's broken up, so it's easier to understand. Jeff's, Gourmet, Los Angeles, and I'll just mention one more time, Shlomo Lelazarian from Los Angeles. It has a little bit to do with him, this sponsorship. So the Olam knows when to come on. Now there's 40 people on YouTube, and it'll be more probably once the emails are over. Kollel sponsors. Thank you to Rebelli's wife and kids for the great sacrifice they make, allowing him to spread Torah to the masses. I said, I don't know when it was. I'm like holding somewhere else. I think it's today that the guys in the Kollel, so yeah, it was today. They took a Vishinantam test. It's many Daf Gemaras. Most of them take over 1,000 Daf Gemara. It's Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, and you have to score over an 80 with Tosfos. In other words, if you know Gemara, Rashi, you're going to fail. You need to know Tosfos in order to take this test. But 5 guys, I think, from the Kollel took this test, and they're about to take the Dirshu test, which is about 1,800 daf. So we're very proud of them. And my chavrisa, he had to come home in the middle of the day. Like it was after 6-7 hours, his brain felt like it was frying. So he's going to continue. You're allowed to continue the next day. I think he did like 500-600 daf, and then you just continue the next day. Crazy stuff. I don't know if any of us will ever know what it feels like, but halavai. Daily sponsor, Peretz Chaim Levin, in honor of Nesanel and his home mishpacha, the Iron Man of Daf Yomi promotion. We are truly blown away. He's the one that came up with that calendar idea for Makkos, the back of the Ami magazine. MDY Kids Monthly, and people are saying they want the same calendar for Shavuos. We'll see. Schos for official Elchana, innovation. Schos for official Elchana, Akiva, Rivka, Mrs. Stefansky. Art of the month, Refuah Shelamah for Yonatan Eitan ben Basheva Bracha, in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark for all the work they do. Rabbi Sai. We're holding Daf Yudalad Amud Aleph 4 lines down. So, to remind the Olam, yesterday we had a 3-way machlokes. If a person is chayiv misa, or if a person is chayiv kares, does he get malchus as well, or on the side? Is malchus even applicable if you get kares or misa? So we had a 3-way machlokes. How does a 3-way machlokes work? It usually works that you have the 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, and then the third sheet is right in the middle. That's what we have today. It's a classic. Either you hold that in both cases, kares and misas bezdin, you get malchus as well. Kares and misas bezdin, you do not get malchus at all. Or you have the middle sheet, the Rebekah, who says that you get malchus by kares, but not by. Here it is. Rabbi Shmuel says you get kares both by misa and by kares. You get malchus by misa and kares. And Rabbi Akiva says you only get by kares. And Rabbi Yitzchak says no. There's no malchus at all when it comes to. So we were talking about yesterday. They gave him asra only for the malchus part. They never even said that there's going to be a misa. Okay, says Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak Gourmet, 4 lines down. He says, I'll explain to you. It says in the pasuk, if you do any of these disgusting abomination, all these arayas, you get cars. So the question is, then why in the world does the Torah go ahead and say, it's one of the many things that the Torah talks about. So why does the Torah talk about a sister? And only by a sister it says v'nichrasu. When it already says the word v'nichrasu and the halacha of v'nichrasu by kichol sheyas mikol hatoyevos. Isn't the sister included in kol hatoyevos? Yes. So then why does the Torah have to repeat the word v'nichrasu by a sister? Says Rabbi Yitzchak, there's a generalization for all those who are chayiv kares. So why does the Torah go ahead and explain that you chayiv kares by a sister? To tell you that you do not get malchus. You only get kares by a sister. You'll never get malchus by a sister. So what? And if I learned that by a sister, then I learn it for all the kareses. Every kares is the same thing. That what? You only get kares, you don't get malchus. It's interesting that there was a very famous machlokes with the Maribe Rav and the Gdolei Ador to make smicha and not make smicha, and I believe that it was in Spain where a lot of the Jews had to convert, and they wanted to basically threaten, make it very difficult for somebody to assimilate and start eating treif in public. And they wanted to give people malchus. It was a whole nidon. Could you give malchus, but you need somebody that's a samach. But how do you get somebody that's, you can't do smicha? So the Gdolim wanted to give people smicha so they could give malchus. Whole story. Ayin sham. V'Rabbanon kares ba'achoisei lamali. Rabbi Yitzchak is of the opinion, he argues on these two. Yeah? Rabbi Yitzchak is of the opinion there's no malchus. Why? Because it says the word kares by his sister. What about the other two, Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva? They go together, the whole sugya. What about them? There is malchus in certain situations. Certainly by kares. Both of them hold, Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva hold that by kares there is malchus. So then what does he do with the word v'nichrasu? Why does the Torah repeat itself that this kares by his sister? L'chalek, to teach us a chiddush that you get multiple punishments. If a person in one awareness, he was over in all the arayas, first he was with his father's sister, then his mother's sister, then his sister-in-law, then his sister, you chayiv kares on each and every one, you chayiv a punishment, malchus on each and every one. Rabbi Yitzchak already uses up this pasuk, as we said, that when somebody has kares, he doesn't get malchus. So how does he know this idea of splitting, of getting multiple punishments? Let's see the pasuk a second. Here we go. I just put it in parentheses because that's his vart. That he's saying that you don't need the word isha. The word isha is extra. The what? Ve'elisha b'nidas tumasa. I gotta tell you, the Rav said something about women coming to the shir, and there's a woman, mamish, putting her. I'm seeing her. She's trying so hard to listen from outside. It's unbelievable dedication to Torah. Okay, so. Shalom Aleichem Zalman. Ve'elisha b'nidas tumasa. It should say v'nida b'tumasa. Well, what's isha? We know that a nida is the isha. So what's the extra word isha? To teach us. L'chayav al kol isha v'isha, that for each and every woman that he's over, he gets another punishment. Rabbanan nami tevik le'emaha. So then why Rabbanan need to learn it from the word v'nichra so they can learn from the word v'isha? It's extra. You're right. It's a good question. They do learn it from there. So then we go back to the question. So what do they do with the extra kares that's mentioned by his sister? The kares by the sister, because there's different sisters. To teach you that Yechayev is going to get very interesting now. Yechayev for a sister, for your father's sister, and your mother's sister. As the Gemara Pshita, Harigufa Muchulakim. Now what? If a person is over First he went with his sister. Then he was with his father's sister. Then he was with his mother's sister. Of course he's chayiv 3 times. What's the shayla? First of all, they have different names. One is a choisai, the Isser is a choisai. The other one is called a choisav. The other one is called a choisimai. What's the havamina that he shouldn't be chayiv? So I want to share with you a story that I heard today from my very, very good friend, Rabbi Yehuda who lived in Chicago for many years. He started the organization called Israel Link. It's a big kiv, plus he did the Maccabim school he started. So he said as follows. He was on a train, took a train to Tel Aviv. He had a bunch of meetings, and the meetings were over. He went back he lives in Bet Shemesh, he took the train back. Then he gets a phone call, says, listen, we got to continue the meetings in Yerushalayim. So what do you start? So he gets off the train, he finds a falafel shop. He says he usually doesn't really eat. Okay, he grabs some falafel. Everybody knows Yehuda they have this famous argument that goes back from brachas. What's more important, Torah means chasadim. I'm the big Torah guy. He's the big means chasadim. He's the type of guy. He doesn't drive more than 100 feet, and he's always taking people and giving people rides. His whole life is chesed. So he gets a falafel, and now he doesn't know what to do. Like he's embarrassed to eat it on the train in front of everybody. It's not so proper. So he looks for a quiet train. What do you call them? Car. And he sits down, and there's 2 guys that are not religious sit across from him. And he pulls out his falafel, and he sees that they're like giving him like kind of dirty looks. Like, what are you doing? Wait until you get home or something. So anyways, he eats, and one of them tells him b'tavon. So he says back, I wish I knew this, that such a nice guy like you would wish me b'tavon. How do you say tavon in English?
Enjoy.
Hearty appetite. He says, I would have bought you one. I would have bought you a falafel. You know what? He says, I don't know. At least take my pickles. He had a bunch of, they give you in the little box, a little plastic thing, a bunch of pickles. He says, take my pickles. So, schmoozing here, back forth. After like a little while, they start getting close to Yerushalayim. So there was 2 guys. You found out one guy was the father, like a 70-year-old or whatever. The other guy's a 35-year-old son. The 35-year-old son gets up. He shakes his hand. He says, well, what's your name? He says, Yehuda. He says, listen, my dad and I were on the way to Yerushalayim to protest against the Haredim. But I have to tell you, I've never spoken in my life to a Haredim. Never in my life. So right now, we decided we're taking the train back to Tel Aviv. We're going back to Tel Aviv. We're not going to Yerushalayim for the thing. It's just to say a nice word, to encourage another person, to remember that we're not gufim mechulakim. I said, Yehuda, it's a beautiful story with gufim mechulakim. We're not. We're one. We're all brothers. It's hard to realize. The other day I read a letter from a conservative rabbi, and I got 2. I'm going to call them hate mails. It's like, how dare you read a letter from? Like, what are you? We're all Yidden, and we're hoping that everybody becomes makurav, everybody becomes a little bit better. That's all. To look at the gufim mechulakim, there's a lot of people that say, oh, no, these are not. We're not gufim mechulakim. Gufim mechulakim. Hari shemis mechulakim. So in this, this is an Aveira, this is different bodies, different human beings with different names to the Isser. Of course, he chayiv 3. A boy said, listen to this. It's a riddle. This is the riddle. How is it possible? Think to yourself. Think if you can come up with the answer. It's not easy. How is it possible to have relations with one individual who happens to be your own sister and your father's sister and your mother's sister? How's it possible? Like a Yavam is so good. Says the Gemara, hello. No. We're not talking about 3 different individuals. We're talking about the same individual. And the chiddush is that you're chayav on one individual, 3 averis. Why? Because she happens to be 3 different people. She's his sister. She happens to be his father's sister. She happens also to be the mother's sister. And how is it possible such a case? Bireshia by Reshia, a Rasha, the son of a Rasha. So for that, it goes like this. I don't know if you could see. Are you able to see? We have a small screen here in Chicago. This is the guy with the code that didn't show up today. So here, father and mother, they have a son. The son is a Rasha. He had relations with his own mother. But that's not the end of the story. This is just the beginning of the story. From this relationship, they had two children, daughter 1 and daughter 2. The Rasha is not done yet. He goes and has relations with his own daughter. His own daughter, daughter number 1. And from that, they had a son who's the Rasha, the son of a Rasha. Now the son, this son, what do you expect from him? He carries on the tradition. So he goes, this is all, it never happened, I don't think. But what if? He goes and he has relations with his mother's sister. Yeah? So what just happened there? So his mother's sister is also his father's. We have to back it up a little bit. Hold on a second. Oops, what just happened? Not this. Okay. When this guy, right over here, Mr. Ish, we call him, he had 2 daughters from his own mother. Those 2 daughters are what? They're his sisters. You hear? These 2 daughters, Bas 1 and Bas 2, are his sisters. Why? Because their mother is his mother. They share this. He had relations with his own mother. So anything that comes out of that relationship is his sister or brother. So now that we know that. And then he went ahead and had another relationship with his own sister, who happens to be his daughter, and they had a son. Now it's very understood. That son went ahead and had a relationship with Bas number 2. Who's Bas number 2? His father's sister. So that's a chois aviv. She's also his sister. Why? Because they share the same father. Here, let me show you. So it goes like this. Achoisai, why is that achoisai? Because Mr. Ish is his is his father, the bad guy, the guy all the way in the bottom of the chart. Who's his father? Ish. And who's the woman he has the relationships? Who's her father? Ish. So they're brother and sister. So that's why they're achaisa. But don't forget that Bas number 2 is also the father's sister. Why? Because who's the mother? Ish's mother. So Mela, here, Yoshi did a phenomenal job here. It wasn't like this. When I got up in the morning, it was very different. It was like this, the right side. So I told him, listen, we gotta show it better with circles and stuff. So I think now it's hard for you guys to see, but it's a phenomenal job here. It shows you who mother, father, daughter. Here. And now they're also, that's the simplest one, because Bas 1 and Bas 2 are obviously sisters, so she's the mother's sister. Okay, so we're done with that. Done with this sugya. Well, I'm not done with the sugya completely, but done with this chart. How does Rabbi Yitzchak, we can leave the chart on for a second. How does Rabbi Yitzchak know that you chayiv 1, 2, 3 on the left side? All 3 of these. Achoisai, achoisav, achoisimai. Nafgalei mikav v'chomer. So he doesn't have the extra word v'nichrasu to teach it to us. So he has to learn mikav v'chomer. This side, Rabbi Kiva Shaltis, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Shua, literally imum. There's also Givaldik. Listen to what happened there. There's a lot to learn from this. Rabbi Gamliel went to the marketplace to buy an animal. Here's a marketplace, Rabbi, if you want to see what a marketplace in our days looks like. Like in the olden days, but today there's the trucks, whatever. You sit around with your cow, you try to sell it, your bull. So here he is, going in the marketplace, and he's trying to buy an animal for his son's wedding. I don't know if it's Reb Shimon, Ben Gamliel, I don't know which son, but he went to buy an animal for his son's wedding. Why does the Gemara have to tell us what he was doing? What's the difference? He was going for a doctor's appointment. So they all explain that it's coming to teach us that no matter what you do, no matter where you are, you always grab your Gemara with you. You always learn it. You're talking Torah, you're thinking Torah. Yeah, you're doing a mundane thing. Another very important thing that the Chidah says, you see from here that preparing for a wedding, it's the hechsher mitzvah for the wedding is also a very big mitzvah, and you should try to do it on your own, because Reb Gamliel is known to be a very wealthy person. So why can't he just send his shikingel, his shamish, and go buy an animal for me? Great. So I heard a cute story about Rav Moshe Hillel Hirsch, the Rishiv in Slobodka today in Eretz Yisrael, who was American, right? And he said that he was driving once, and he had some sort of, he's thinking and learning, and he realized he's not a good driver. Like he's preoccupied with Torah. So even when you drive, but the reason why I thought about this story is because on Pesach, I was talking to Bacher, and when Bacher said his yeshiva learned 3 daf that whole zman, and that got me going. 3 daf a whole zman. It's like, where did it come from? And all the gdolim, I started quoting him the Briskurov, 40 daf a month, and then he went down to 20, and the Stipler, and this one and that. Kitzer said even the Achroin that you're learning, Reb Shmuel Rozovsky finished the whole Masechta, the Reb Elchanan Wasserman, you can see from the Svarim. Maybe Reb Shmuel is more like daf Nun Zayin or whatever, but 3 daf. Kitzer. Then I found this in the Ami. They had an article about Rav Moshe Hillel Hirsch. So it says there that he said that he used to learn daf al daf. What does daf al daf mean? 1 daf in the morning seder, 1 daf and from a different Masechta in the second seder. 2 daf a day. And at night, he said that they used to go into deep sugyas. They would go and think about certain sugyas for a very long time. Okay. Anyways, just to irk anything to push the other guy's button. It's my specialty. So a guy that learns 3 daf a whole year, if he starts hearing these things, he goes, Meshuggah, no, but today's generation, we're not that smart, and we're this, and we have to that, and my Rosh Hashiva knows better than you. Okay, the whole thing, fine. Not going to go into it. But I just thought it was great. And then, of course, I had to show him the article, brought it to lunch. Here, look, daf al daf. Again, I'm not proposing that yeshivas should change to a daf a day. That's not what I say. And I always say, the Bachrim should learn Iyun. Just such a small amount is I don't understand how it happened. It's evolving. It wasn't like that when I was in yeshiva. Well, it was sort of, but it was 6 daf. Now it became 3. In 10 years from now, it's 1.5. And it's just the Mishnah. Okay, Zakti Gemara. So, anyways, we're in the middle of a story. They went to this place, and they're in this butcher shop in Imom. They went to buy an animal, and they asked him this question that we just said. If somebody has relations with one woman who's 3 different isurim, a sister, father, sister, mother, sister, ma'u, he's only chayav 1, or chayav al kolachas v'achas, or perhaps he's chayav 3. Amru loy, zulei shamanu, we don't know. Ava shamanu, haba chomesh noshim nidas be'elam echad. If a person had 5 relationships with 5 different women who happened to be isser kares of nida, shechayav al kolachas v'achas. Oh, so Mabela, he wants to say the same thing in our case. No, so what's the kasha that everybody's going to ask? Abi, what's the kasha? The what? Oh, the what?
You don't learn from the...
No, but he said it. What did you say? He said, Gufim Chulakim. There's a difference between 5 different women that have the same Isser, the same name Isser, Nida, but it's 5 separate women. Versus, like a guy's over on 5 Ishes. He should only be Chayiv once? Chayiv 5. But over here, it's one woman who has 5 names to her. She's also a sister and also father. Maybe it's different. Who thought it's the same thing? So, he says, listen, it's only one name of an Isser, Nida. And you have 5 Nidas. But over here, that's 3 different names. Certainly, you should be Chayav for each and every one. Oh, there's a story about the Vilna Gaon that one of his Talmidim came to him and said, I'm stuck. I cannot go weiter, Rebbe, I can't go weiter. I have such a bomb kash in the sugi, I can't go weiter. So he says, look at Tosfos on Makkos Daf Yomi. So he comes back and says, I looked in Tosfos, I don't know what you're talking about. So he says, Tosfos different mask of the idach. At the end it says, B'tzorah chiyun. He says, Tosfos had a bomb kasha, and he says, I don't know the answer. And guess what? A minute later, he went weiter. There's another Tosfos right afterwards. So you could also go weiter. Says Gemara Vidach. Kavachomer prichu. It's not a good kavachomer. Malanida shkin gufim chulakin. You know the story of Nida, it's 5 different women. Says the Gemara, I mean, what is the Havamina B'chlal? How can you compare 5 separate women that have the same Isser to one woman has 3 different Isser? It's a completely different case. To make a Kavachomer Nachoich. Elnafkile Machoisi the Seifa. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yitzchak is going to learn from this pasuk. We have to know this pasuk. It's a famous pasuk. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. It says, if a person has relations with his own sister, who happens to be Bas Aviv, Oy Bas Imoy, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother, in other words, she's a half a sister, and it says, it should say, what's twice? It says Achoisai. So we're going to darshan both of them, both of these Achoisais. Achoisai the Seifa. Since it's extra, she's going to teach us now what the yichayev on each sister individual is. Birevach and Rebekah, Achoisai the Seifa Lamali. Why Rabbi Yitzchak needs it? What does Rebekah and Shmuel? What do they need it for? Oh, this is the famous Gemara that everybody goes there. It's hard to understand this, right? You know the famous idea that you cannot give somebody punishment based on a kavachomer. This is the classic example right here. Check it out. This is the pasuk. Again, same pasuk. It says in the pasuk that if a person has a relationship with a half a sister, she's a sister through just the father. They don't share the same mother, only the same father. Or they share the same mother, not the same father. You get karas. What if they share a mother and a father? So every woman you share a mother and a father, you certainly share just the father. So of course you should be chayiv. No. That might be too much. Maybe you don't get cars. Maybe you get a new oynish. I don't know what. Something even more powerful. In other words, I'm just throwing in what some explained. That means it's such a... You're right, it's a great kavachomer. Maybe it's too powerful of a kavachomer. You can't learn the same oynish. Whatever. Fine. Akabana, we learn from this idea that since the Torah has to say the word achoisei twice to teach us that even if she's a complete sister, like a regular sister, not a half sister, she's a sister from a father and a mother, you also chayiv kares on it. What do you see from here? You can't make any kavachomers to be mechayiv somebody oynish. And as Rabbi Yitzchak learned this idea, when it comes to the warning, right? Every time you punish somebody, the Torah has to say it twice. Once the Torah has to talk about the punishment, and another time, completely another pasuk talks about the warning. Don't do it. Throughout the whole Torah, we had a discussion: does that apply also to kares or not? But all averos, you want to give a guy malchus, it has to be in the Torah. Don't do this, and don't do it. And the second time it says it is the warning, not hasra. Rabbi say not to be confused with hasra. Because somebody asked me the question about hasra. Actually, it was in the other shir, whatever. But hasra means that we human beings, we warn somebody, don't do it. Hazara means Hashem warned us in the Torah. It's a pasuk in the Torah. When it comes to the warning of having relations with a sister, it says a choischahi. And over there, the Torah doesn't say a sister from a father. It's all the same thing. Even a sister from a father and a mother, that's the warning. Oh, and if that's the warning, so the punishment also, there's no difference between a sister from a father and a mother. How does you know this idea? So we have the two achoises in this pasuk. We have the achoisai in the beginning of the pasuk and achoisai at the end of the pasuk. So we learn it from the first one. Rashi explains that the first one is also extra because it could have just said, Visha sheyikach bas aviv. Bas aviv is a sister. I don't have to explain to you she's a sister. The daughter of your father is your sister. The daughter of your mother is your sister. So the first achos is extra. Fine. Sponsored. We have to pause for our local. What do they say? We have to pause for our local sponsor. Something like that. Turn in the daf. Thank you. Adar Global one-stop shop for all your financial needs. Innovations that will see in honor of our sons Kalmul 12, Yisroel 9, for learning Sanhedrin and Makkos with Rebellion. Unbelievable, a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old learning Mesechtas. In honor of Adar Global Innovations, role models of how to support the Daf and learning. Oh. Zog the Gemara. V'idach, Rebekah and Shmuel, how do they explain the first word of the pasuk achoisai? It's extra. Oh, I see. It's about 60 people live right now. 40 on YouTube, 20 on Zoom. Ken Yirbu. What time is it in New York? 10:15 already. It's not early. So let's see the pasuk to understand this. The pasuk has two parts to it. The first part, if you try to mimic the oil that you anoint the Kohen Gadol with and the Kalim, you get kares. If you use it as shampoo, there's two isurim, the red part in the pasuk and the top blue. And it says afterwards, v'nichrasu. It says v'nichrasu once on both. So that I need the special v'achoisai. That's all the side. If I have a word or a pasuk in the Torah that have nothing to do with it, it's obvious, and we already have psukim for it. So, if I can't use it here, I use it somewhere else. So I'll use it for this. I'll use it for that you get kares for both. Mefatim and soch. Vidach, Savak Rebbe Lazar and Rebbe Shaya. Dom Rebbe Lazar and Shaya. Over here, like in this passage, there's two separate lavim. Don't create it and don't use it. When the Torah says this kares, you should know that if you do it by mistake, you made the oil and then you used it as shampoo, you have to bring 2 korbanos chatos. Rabbi Yisroel doesn't hold over Rabbi Lazar. I'm sorry. Rabbi Yisroel doesn't hold over Rabbi Lazar or Rabbi Shaya. And how does he learn this? He learns from a nida. It says, and what's the halacha? Kares. Vidach, Rabbi Kiva, what does he do? What does he do is pasuk Yishka. Here, Rabbi said, this is a big chiddush. I think this is a big chiddush. What's mitama? When it comes to a nida, dam nida, what's mitama exactly? So let's say I take a syringe and surgically remove the dam nida from a woman. Is it mitama or not mitama? Yes or no? The answer is no. It's not mitama at all. Why? It has to come out the normal way and not through a surgery or something else. So we learned in the Mishnah of somebody who is tamei himself. He went to a funeral. I don't know if anybody noticed. I don't know. Maybe just in my circles. My wife's 2 best friends, their fathers were nifter. Today was the Levaya for 2 and they were in Mazuz. I just heard just a bunch of different, maybe, because they're saying, a lot of times I heard that after Yontif, a lot of people are nifter because people that are very sick, they try to like hold out for Yontif, at least, to be with family. I don't know. Maybe just a coincidence. So anyway, the person goes to Levaya, comes back, and he eats a carbon, a hegdish. This is a kares. Get malchus. Bishloim mahabol migdash. Tomei ksiv oynish ksiv azara. When a person, there's 2 things, not to be confused. Somebody who eats kodesh and somebody goes into the Beis Hamikdash when he's tamei. Somebody who's tamei who eats a carbon and somebody who's tamei who walks into the Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara says here, this is a great example for us to see what a hazara means and a oynish in the same thing. When you walk into the Beis Hamikdash, when you're tamei, you came from a funeral, there's two psukim. The penalty part, it says, it's Mishkan Hashem Timei, V'nechrasa, you get kares. Hazar, and where's the warning to that kares? Another pasuk. V'leithamus machaneim, you shall not go into the Beis Hamikdash when you talk. But an eating person, the penalty we see by nefesh it says kares. But where's the warning in the Torah? We have a machlokes. It says by a woman who gives birth or Yeledes, she shall not touch the kachim. I just want to show you in the beginning of the sugya, so it might be easier as we go through the sugya. It's very simple. These 4 words, Rish Lakish actually learns 3 different things from it. So first of all, he learns b'chol, that even Yechayev, even before the zrika of the blood, Kodesh is the warning. Here it is in the Torah, the warning not to eat tamei. And Leisiga, this is a warning not to touch. Okay, so these are the 3 things that we're going to see now in the sugya. Referring to someone who gives birth, a woman who gives birth. So Rabbi Yochanan learned from Bardala, is the name of a person. We have a Gzer Shava, same word. The word tumasa in 2 different places, so I can learn one from the other. It says by somebody who's tamei, who eats hegdish, who eats kodesh, who eats karban, v'tumasei olav v'nichrasa. So that we know this kares. By somebody who walks into the Beis Hamikdash, it says tamei tumasei. Same word tumasei. Malalon, the person who goes into the Beis Hamikdash, oynesh v'hazara. We're trying to find where is the warning. So Rabbi Yochanan says the warning comes from Gzer Shava. You're right, it's not in the Torah. But the Torah does say a warning by one thing, and I'm going to learn it to another thing. So too, by somebody who eats Kodesh. Great. So we have Rish Lakish who learns it from a pasuk, and we have Rabbi Yochanan who learns it from Gzer Shava. As the Gemara, I find this fascinating because, throughout Shas you see that Rish Lakish was contemporary a little bit of Rabbi Yochanan, but he was a Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan. He didn't learn the Gzer Shava. He never learned. What do you mean? Rabbi Yochanan holds the Gzer Shava. Didn't he teach them? No. So, maybe Rish Lakish, there's a thesis that says that Rish Lakish, he was a Talmud Chacham before he became a bad guy, and then he went off, then he came back on. He has his own Rabbeim that taught him the Gzer Shavas. I once saw, I forgot where, that the Tanoim and Amoraim, they used to have a number of Gzer Shavas. You can't just make up a Gzer Shavas. Baruch gave Moshe Rabbeinu in Sinai X amount of Gzer Shavas. He already used it up. So the Gemara says, okay, Rish Lakish doesn't have a Gzer Shava. You can't just use Tumasa. However, the question is, why does Rabbi Yochanan use Gzer Shava? Let him use Rish Lakish's pasuk. Rabbi Yochanan time Rish Lakish. Amalach says Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan will say, "Yahu Azor leTruma." It's not even referring to your pasuk b'chol. Here, this pasuk b'chol Kodesh leSiga says Rabbi Yochanan. It's not even referring about hegdish. Not talking about karban. It's talking about truma. Somebody eats truma. Now, we have to also point out when the Gemara asked that Rabbi Yochanan should learn like Rish Lakish. And what's Rabbi Yochanan going to do with this Gzer Shava? It came from Shemayim. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? Put it away? You have to use. So obviously he had something else to use it for. You can't just take a Gzer Shava and say, okay, I'm not going to use it. Fine. Rish Lakish, Azar Truma and Ale. Great. So if this pasuk Kodesh Le'Sig is talking about Truma, how does Rish Lakish know Truma? Nafkalei mi ish mizera Aaron v'hu tzarua azov. If somebody from the descendants of Aaron is a tzarua, here, Rabbi said, brand new for today. I love this one. Let me show you the other one. Hold on. This is the old one, right? He had tzaras on his hand. He's wearing one of my ties. I don't know which one, but it looks like one of my ties. And he's a reporter. He's saying Lashon Hara. Here's the new one. This guy, he's texting Lashon Hara. As he's texting, he becomes a mitzayra. Okay. That was back in the day when it was very obvious. So I'm asking you, if you had a choice to pick one of the two, it could either be somebody that eats hegdish or somebody that eats truma. When the pasuk says, Ish mizera aron, what's zera aron? What does that mean? It means Aaron's descendants. What would you rather pick? Only male descendants or all descendants, including women? So Gemara says it makes more sense to say all descendants. So what could that be? It can't be korbanos. Women can't eat certain korbanos, especially after they get married. But women could eat truma. And women could eat truma even after they get married. If they get divorced and they don't have children, they could still eat truma. So that's applicable to all descendants of Aaron and Memela. Oh. Let's see. I lost my place here. I saw Truma. Where am I holding? Anybody? Nobody knows where I'm holding. That's where I'm holding. Have the oil is a Truma. Great. So that's Truma. We need a pasuk for a tamei who touched Truma, then it makes it possible. Ask the Gemara, that's a question. You're going to tell me that this is what the pasuk B'chol Kodesh comes to teach us? We need a hazara. We need a warning for somebody that touches hegdish. According to Rish Lakish at least, because Rish Lakish is the one that holds us a problem. Rish Lakish look, he uses the pasuk already. It's used up. No, that pasuk, like we said a second ago, is talking about truma. Rish Lakish is using the pasuk for something else. How could he use it for our sugya? So first of all, the Torah says lisiga, so the Torah is using a lashon of touching. So I'm going to learn something else. Because the Torah uses a lashon hagia, I'm going to learn hazara for touching. Hazara lo'ichel itkish kodesh lemigdash. That if somebody eats kachim, I have a hekish between somebody eats and somebody who goes into the migdash. As the Gemara Hatzlacha B'Parnasa, Amud Beis. Oh, zrikas damim. If you haven't seen this, it's geschmack. Somebody, not this. I just like the movement these days. Zrikas dam. I hope the guy that sent me that email I read before Shir is not opposed to this kind of dam. There's a guy in the Hebrew Shir, a young guy from Texas. Anytime he sees blood in the Shir on a video, he just faints on the spot. So I hope he's not watching. I got to give that a warning, I guess. I'll go upon him. What about before the Zrika? Before this occurs, right? First you do the Shechita, you do the Kabbalah, you go to the Mizbeach, Hatzlacha, and then you do the Zrika. What about a Tameh that ate the meat of the carbon before this occurred, before the Zrika? Another machlekes whether or not you get malchus before. Rishlakish says you do get malchus b'chol kodesh l'siga. It doesn't matter before or after. So here, you see this? That's why I put this over here, that b'chol kodesh is coming to say, before Zrika, kodesh teaches us hazara, l'siga is the hazara for touching kodesh. Now, that's why this encapsulates the whole sugya in one chart. Why does Rabbi Yechon say you don't get malchus for eating before malchus? Because we said a minute ago that he holds of Gzer Shav. What's the Gzer Shav? And the word Tumah is after Zrika, not before. That's Oh, and Rish Lakish says, no, that I know from B'chol Kodesh. The Migdash. Tanya Kev said the Rish Lakish. B'chol Kodesh l'siga azor la'oichel. Atoyim azor la'oichel lo'inel azor l'negia. from the pasuk, how do you know that it's a warning to somebody that eats? Maybe it's a warning to somebody that touches, because that's what it says. Negia, l'siga. Bakish kodesh l'migdash, because he has a hekesh kodesh l'migdash. Ma migdash davar sheyesh bo netilas neshama. Something that you get kares for. You take that Baruch takes away neshama for it. Afkol davar sheyesh bo netilas neshama. But if it's talking about just touching, there's no kares on touching. Ela b'achila. The only time you get kares is something that you eat. Mainly knows it's talking about eating. Rabbi Sai. Have a wonderful day.